How's everyone doing? You know, it's really exciting to be here because, you know, Mr. Greg Petrelli doesn't have to be here. You know, his story, when he got, you know, he joined Kyani, he's really has sold himself out to the opportunity. And the company says, look, this is what we have, this is what we're doing, this is where we're going. And he had his family out in St. George, and he relocated his family to go and move out to Idaho and be out there because that is where the fire was at, that's where the company's at, that's where they need him, and he did. And he's always in the trenches, always in the front lines with us. He's a phone call away. He is working with the top leaders here, and as I mentioned to you, a gentleman like that doesn't need to be here, but he's here to share with you guys the vision of Kyani, where it's going, and it brings a lot of credibility to what we're doing here this morning, this afternoon. So let's give him a round of applause for a job well done. So who's ready to learn? Who's ready to learn? Okay. If you, first and foremost, I want to just set the stage. If you're here and you really want to learn, I would suggest that you take notes. But in addition to taking notes, who has a recorder? Okay, now, for those of you that do, I want to let you know, those of you that don't, you'll retain 10% of what is being said today. 10% you'll retain, 90% you'll lose, especially if you're here for the first time. So, I hope that 10% that you take with you is something that can make a difference in your business. There is people from different backgrounds all throughout this room, different backgrounds. And we're all going in the same direction when it comes to Kyani as far as winning is concerned. We're all going to have what's called a start date, when we're going to get started and the things that we're going to do. And the very basics and fundamentals. I believe that championship teams always teach basics and fundamentals. Isn't that true? And when you master these basics and these fundamentals, that's where you're going to be a champion in what it is that you're producing. So let's get right into it. First thing is we've got a 72-hour game plan for everybody that gets involved in the business. Now you're going to hear the different leaders are going to come up here and they're going to say, this is the most important part to the equation, this is the most important part. Here's what I want to let you know. That this is a vehicle, as I mentioned to you earlier in the morning session. It's a vehicle. Kyani is a vehicle. Now, let me ask you all a question. What is the most important part to a vehicle? Okay, this is interactive. What do you think? An engine? What else?
Tires.
Tires. Imagine trying to drive without a tire. Anything else? The transmission, that's pretty important. If you don't have a transmission, how is it going to move?
Steering wheel.
The steering wheel. Excellent. I mean, how can you drive it without a steering wheel? Anything else?
Gas.
Accelerator, gas. All of these items are important. What's important from the vehicle is the part that's missing, because together that makes a vehicle run. Isn't that true?
Yes.
So this vehicle, Kyani, is a vehicle. So all these elements that you're going to hear are in fact the most important part, because if it's missing and you miss it, how are you going to drive the vehicle? How are you going to possibly do it? So it's combined, the whole everything, the whole gamut is part of the vehicle. So the 72-hour game plan, look, it's a launch pack training with your upline. Who's here? Who's brand new right now? Raise your hand. Okay, now, it's very important that those of you that are brand new, you sit down with the person who invited you here, and they're going to go over the launch packet with you. Sponsor 3 people, 2-on-1s. In other words, find your 3 people right away. You know, when I came to my first presentation, I already knew who my 3 people were. Right there. Who knew who their first 3 people were when they first got involved? They're sitting there, they're already thinking, okay, that person, right away. Get your 3 people, acquire 3 customers. We're going to teach you how to go out and sponsor those 3 people, teach you how to get the customers, and have a home meeting right away. Very important. The home meeting is where you're going to be able to talk to the most amount of people in the shortest period of time. This has to be duplicatable. It has to be easy. It has to be something that people can go out there and replicate themselves, because people are busy. Now, continuing on the next slide. Now, this is a resource. You make a list. 3 types of lists that you've got to make. Very important. And I want you to think outside the box. First list is you're going to make a local list. Within your area, 35, 50-mile radius, I consider a local list. Your second list is a national list. People within the United States outside of your local city. We've got conference calls to help people listen in on the power of Kyani. And the third list is an international list. Who knows people outside of the United States right now? Now, you list those people anywhere, because guess what? Kyani is going to be in 68 other countries. That's the vision of the company. Greg Petrelli said it best, the power's in the pouch. Our goal is to get this pouch in the hands of everyone globally, worldwide. That's our vision. So make that list. On the list, look, 3 types of people. And they're right here. Well, actually, I think there's 2 kinds of people here in this room. So the first kind of person is what we consider a red. Now this is basic training. Red apple. Who here knows people in your life that are positive in your life? Don't you want to hang around with these people? Yeah. Don't they add value to your life? These are the kind of people that, they're calling you on the phone and, oh my goodness, look who's calling me. I'm going to answer. I can't wait to answer it. And because you can't wait to talk to them. So you want to spend 80% of your time with that person. It's a red apple. It's like Dr. Edwards, in fact, who's laughing. I mean, that guy's a red apple. He's always laughing. He's always participating. I mean, that guy is amazing. Look at that big smile on his face. That guy's a red apple. He's turning red right now. This gentleman is a red apple. You want to spend 80% of your time with positive people. It's the secret to this business. We are not selling this. We're sorting. We're looking for like-minded people. Initially, amongst your list, there's going to be people that are going to tell you something in the lines of, well, how much money have you made? You ever heard that before?
Yeah.
When you make money, come back and get me. You're like, well, I got signed up 3 hours ago. What are you talking about? Right? I mean, so you have to understand that in your circle of friends, you are almost like the guinea pig. And you learn to need to prove this to them. And you're going to prove them through the power of the product and the power of the compensation plan. Who's received a check already in Kyani? Raise your hand. How excited were you when you first got that check? Think about it. Now, why were you excited? I mean, my first check, less than 50 bucks. Who was the most excited guy on the block? Steve Pineda was. Why? Because it was a check and it worked. I was excited. I was fired up. And then it grew and it grew and it grew. So guess what? On that list, you're looking at, for the red apples, spend 80% of your time. The green apples is people have a lot of questions. Now, green apple can either turn red or they can turn rotten. I'm telling you, it's human nature. Because a lot of times people have a lot of questions. And questions are okay. They're not bad. They're very important. But just stay away from those people that just want to test you. There's people out there in this world that will test you just to see how much knowledge you know about the product. So you spend 20% of your time with those people. And the last kind of person is what I consider, when you looked at, that's a rotten apple. How many of you know negative people in your life? Yeah. That's an energy and that's a force that you need to stay away from. I call these people dream stealers. See, this evening, this afternoon, this morning, right now, you're looking at something. You're being exposed to an opportunity. And we, as a leadership team, our goal is to just inject good in your minds today. That's what we want to offer, that value. But we're at a little bit of a disadvantage. And the reason why is because every single day, the world is bombarding you with negativity. The world is telling you, no, it can't be done. No, you can't do it. I mean, think about it. Who here has children right now? Who's got children? You understand? You can learn a lot from children. Do you know why? Because there's no limit to their thinking. There's no limit to a child's thoughts. And they say what's on their mind every time. If they see a fat person, hey, you're really fat. What's going on with you, right? Whatever's on their mind, they say, and they don't think because they have no filters. And when you grow up and you get older, all of a sudden, all the dreams and the goals that you had as a child, you're tucked away because somebody said, no, you can't do that. And especially, you need to understand that you're a product of your environment. If you hang around negative people, that makes you what? Negative. By default. Try it sometimes. Try it. Right now, make a list of the 5 most negative people you know. Go hang out with them. See how you feel an hour later. And the opposite is true as well. Go hang around positive people. Isn't that going to rub off on you? So you want to spend 0% of your time. If someone gives you an opinion on what they think this is, without the proper knowledge in the industry of network marketing and health and wellness, don't take their opinion. Because opinions matter very little in this business. Moving forward here, very simple.